Welcome to another Genshin Impact video. Today we are gonna take a look at Lan Yan, the newest 4-star character. She's a shielder and on paper she looks really good, so I'm excited to see what she can actually do. But yeah, first, as always in these showcases, we're gonna take a look at my build that I currently have on her. And as you can see, she's level 90 and has 2375 attack. I actually didn't go for a full attack build, but instead just gave her an attack weapon and attack sans, but then went for a Anemo damage bonus and crit on the goblet and circlet. Because even if you build her for a little bit of damage and not just pure shield, she still has a pretty good shield, because the shield multiplier is actually kinda insane. So yeah, as you can see, I gave her some crit. It's of course not the highest crit you'll ever see, not even close, but I think she can do some decent damage with that. And of course she also has some Anemo damage bonus, and I got some EM in the substats. And EM, in case you didn't know, also increases her damage because of one of her Ascension passives, basically giving her EM scaling on her skill and burst. But yeah, in theory, this Lan Yan should be able to do some decent damage, while also still having a pretty strong shield. The weapon I'm using on her is the Eye of Perception, which I never thought I would actually use on any character, but it is actually kinda good on Lan Yan simply because of its high attack percentage substat here. I actually did some math with some of the other attack percentage weapons that usually have higher base attack but lower attack percentage, and it turns out that among the 4-star weapons, Eye of Perception actually gives her the most attack. It can't beat 5-star weapons like the Skyward Atlas, for example, but among 4-star weapons it's actually kind of one of the best options for her if you just care about her attack and don't care about having a useful passive, because this of course doesn't do anything. But the thing is that for Lan Yan, you don't even really need a super useful passive here on the weapon, because as long as you have a decent amount of attack, she's gonna work fine. For the artifacts, I'm using 4-piece Iridescent Venera, so she can shred resistances with her swirls. And of course I aimed for attack percentage in the substats. I actually got some decent bows here, over 20% here, and also on the feather, both of them. And also some Elemental Mastery here, which of course, like I said, increases her damage as well. Then an attack percentage sand, an Anemo damage bonus goblet, and a crit rate circlet. Now the talents I have at 6, 9 and 8, and for constellation I'm at C0, because I want to first test her without any constellations, but I do have her C1, and the biggest constellation is of course the C2, which I'm also gonna test in this video. Now you may be asking, how are you gonna test C2 if you only have one constellation? Well, now I have 2 constellations. There we go. Thanks to the Lantern Ride, I actually got C2. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna leave her at C0 for now, test her C0 capabilities, and then I'm gonna activate the constellations. But yeah, that's my Lan Yan for now. And before we actually jump into the action, I just wanna put into perspective how strong her shield actually is, just by doing some simple math. Because I do have Layla here, and my Layla, as you can see, has a decent amount of HP, because she does have the 4-piece Tenacity, which obviously increases HP, and then also a full HP build on Sans, Goblet, Circlet, all HP. Got some HP substats on the Feather and Flower as well. And her shield is also level 9, much like Lan Yan's. Now, how much do you think Layla's shield blocks with this build? The answer is a bit more than 9000 HP. And since my Layla is also C1, which increases it by another 20%, she actually blocks over 11,000. Which is pretty decent, you know, Layla is a good shielder, it's nothing new, everyone already knows. But then here comes Lan Yan. Now how much do you think Lan Yan, with an Anemo damage goblet and a crit circlet, so not even a full attack build, and no constellations, how much do you think her level 9 shield blocks? The answer is 13,500. Yeah, you heard that right. With not even a full attack build and no constellations, her shield already has over 2000 HP more than a full HP build Layla. That is insane, because Layla is one of the best shielders in the game. But Lan Yan basically just completely power creeps all other 4-star shielders and most of the 5-star shielders as well. I think she is the best shielder now, besides Zhongli. And with her C2, she might even rival Zhongli. So yeah, that's how good Lan Yan is, in theory at least. But now let's get to the actual testing. Now usually for shield tests I go to this boss here in the desert, because he does like a really big laser attack right at the beginning of the fight that does insane amounts of damage, I think around 70k. But the thing is, I don't have anyone on this account, because this is my free-to-play out account by the way, who can tank this even with shields. On my main account I just use Nilou to test shields here, because she can kinda tank it, but here on my alt account, I think my highest HP character is Nuvelet with 42k, so even if I have a 20k shield on him, he would still die to that laser. So maybe you should try one of the new Natlan bosses. Let's fight this one here, because he has these AoE hits that are easy to dodge, but if you just stand in them, I think they do a lot of damage, so they might be good for testing shields. And I'm actually gonna use Layla here first, to see how much she can tank, and then after that we're gonna try Lan Yan. Okay, so tanked one hit. Second hit broke the shield. So can Lan Yan tank more than one hit, is the question. Okay, here we go. Do your thing, boss. One hit. Two hits. Okay, did a little bit of damage on the second hit, but less than when I had Layla's shield. So yeah, my math was correct. Even if you don't go for a full attack build on Lan Yan, her shield is still a little bit stronger than Layla's. Which is insane. Because Layla is actually a really good shielder. But for a full shield build Layla to just barely keep up with a only semi-shield build Lan Yan, that's just absolute power creep. And keep in mind that if we actually infuse Lan Yan's shield, then it's gonna be even stronger. Those are electric attacks. So let's actually try to infuse Lan Yan's shield with Electro, and then test this again. So I got Fischl here with us now. So let's just apply Electro to this thing, and then if we attack with Lan Yan, we should be able to infuse the shield. Like this. Yeah, now it's an Electro shield. Let's see, now it should be able to tank more than 2 hits. Yes, maybe 3 even? 3 hits tanked. Just like that. Oh my god, that's actually so good. You can actually kinda adjust your shield to the enemy that you're facing. If it's the right element, then it's just not even a little bit better than Layla's, but a lot better than Layla's. Of course, Layla can do the same thing against Cryo enemies, but only Cryo. Lan Yan can do it against Cryo, Electro, Pyro, and Hydro. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that Lan Yan is one of the best shielders in the game. But now let's actually see if it was worth it going for a bit more damage instead of shield. How strong is she actually? Oh, also, something that I should probably mention is that, you know, since Bennett exists, and Lan Yan is the first attack shielding character, she's actually the first character whose shield can be influenced by Bennett, made stronger by Bennett, and, you know, you just saw what her shield does even without Bennett. But if you use them together, then it's basically unbreakable, probably. And it's not just Bennett, there are a bunch of artifact sets that buff attack, like Noblesse for example, so if you play with a Noblesse character that increases her shield, and so on. Like, we never had an attack scaling character before, but it's actually so broken because of how many ways there are to buff attack. Like, there are also some ways to like buff Elemental Mastery for example for the EM scaling shielders, but not as effectively as you can buff attack in this game. Attack is like the most buffable stat, you could say. Which is probably why they waited so long to give us an attack shield. But yeah, now let's get to the actual damage showcase. And I'm mainly probably gonna play Lan Yan with Alekino. So I'm just gonna put those two in a team together for now. I don't want to use Bennett yet. I first want to test her without Bennett. Let's go to my usual test subject, Masanori and Inazuma, and find out how much damage Lan Yan can actually do. One more thing that I have to mention about her shield is that of course it has a little bit less uptime than the shields of some of the other characters, like Layla for example has full 100% uptime. Lan Yan on the other hand has a duration of 12.5 but a cooldown of 16, so you have like a 3.5 second downtime. But from my experience that doesn't really matter, because I have used Yanfei for a long time as my shielder on my main account for Yoimiya. I have used her in many successful abyss runs and she has a 5 second downtime on her shield. Because it's 15 seconds long but the cooldown is 20 seconds. And it never really mattered because you just have to dodge once or twice, if even that, during those 5 seconds, and then you get your shield back. So even though it might look bad that she does have some downtime, that it's not 100% uptime, it really doesn't matter that much. Just dodge once and then put up your shield again. If you can't do that, then, well, skill issue. But yeah, let's actually fight Masanori now. Let's actually first apply some Pyro so we can swirl, and then we do this, and damage. 5000 per hit, okay, that's actually not bad. 1000 with the normal attacks. Well, I wasn't really expecting much from normal attacks anyway. But yeah, considering that she's mainly a shielder, that's actually decent damage. Yeah, we got 3 hits with 5000 there, 15,000. And now if I use Arlecchino, I can just hit to my heart's content without having to worry about getting hit. Okay, he broke the shield at the end. But yeah, for the most part, I don't have to worry about dodging. One of the most annoying things about Arlecchino is that she can't heal herself. So it's really nice if you have a shielder that you can play her with. My usual Arlecchino team looks something like this. Sometimes with Xingqiu instead of Xilonen, depending on if I want waves. Or Kazuha instead of Lynette if I want a bit more support. I just love playing Arlecchino and Lynette together because, you know, father and daughter. But basically what I'm trying to say is that usually if I wanted a shield for Arlecchino, for which I had to use Layla, because I don't have that many shielders here, and Layla is by far the strongest, was the strongest so far, I had to replace either Xilonen or Xingqiu or my Swirler. So I would lose damage in exchange for survivability. But now I can just, you know, have Swirl and Shield in one. And that is just so nice. Because not only is Lan Yan the first attack scaling shielder, but she's also the first Anemo shielder. We never before had the option to have shielding and Iridescent Venera Shred in one. We always needed two characters if we wanted both of these things. But now Lan Yan basically frees up a team slot because she combines shielding and Iridescent Venera Shred, which is huge. Okay, we got her burst now. Let's see how much that does. Okay, most of the burst hits didn't crit there, I think, but the last one did 13k. And how many times does it hit? 3 times. Yeah, okay, I saw 3 damage numbers, but I wasn't sure if it was actually 3 hits or if I just missed some of them. Okay, so the non-crits I think did 7,000 if I saw that right, and the crit did 13,000. So 13,000 times 3 is 39,000, so 40k with a burst. For a shield build, actually decent again. Obviously, it's not the highest damage ever. I mean, we only have 80% crit damage, so of course it's not gonna be that high. And she is mainly intended to be a shielder. But you know, considering that she still has a strong shield, stronger than Layla, but at the same time can do somewhat decent damage for a shielder, is actually really nice. But yeah, now it's time for the real test. We are actually gonna go to this boss here that I previously said is too strong to actually test shields with. But if we use Bennett and activate Lan Yan's C2, then it might be possible to actually tank the laser. I don't know if it actually is, but I wanna try. And also, just from simple pyro resonance, we already have over 2500 attack now, so yeah, that also makes the shield stronger. You don't even need Bennett or a Noblesse user, just pyro resonance alone is already enough to increase her shield strength. Any attack boosting effect, and like I said, there are a lot of those. But yeah, once again, I'm gonna first show what happens if I do this with Layla. And spoiler warning, she's just gonna die. Here we go. There she goes. Sorry to do this to you, Layla. But yeah, this is what usually happens if you just stand in that laser. It just kills basically anyone if you don't have like at least 50k HP and a decent shield. Though even 50k might not be enough depending on how strong the shield is. Without shield you need like at least 60k if not 70k to survive that. But now, time for Lan Yan to shine. We do of course want to activate the constellations for this. This one is basically just a bit more damage from her skill, which is nice. But yeah, then the C2 is her biggest constellation because it makes it so that her shield refreshes if you normally attack with the active character. So yeah, let's activate this. There we go. C2 Lan Yan now. And to actually make this work, we do have to normal attack with the active character. I have to keep that in mind. Okay, let's do this. Let's activate the shield now. And before it breaks, we have to normal attack to refresh. Okay, couldn't quite do it there. But does she survive? Yes, she does. Okay. I think it's partly because some of the lasers didn't hit, because I had to get close to normal attack. So maybe I should use a character who can normal attack from further away. I just wanted to use Layla for this, because the defense of the character actually influences the shield, so I wanted to use the same character on field for both shields. But I guess we can just use a character who has about the same defense as Layla, maybe? Let's see. Okay, I think Barbara might be good for this. She does not have quite as much defense as Layla, but more than most of my other characters. Okay, so now in theory, if you just stand here and spam normal attacks while the shield is active, that should be enough to keep Barbara alive. Spam normal attacks. Yeah, shield. Okay, that was definitely more absorption than we had before. It took longer for the shield to break, definitely, but it still wasn't enough to actually keep Barbara alive. So maybe we should use Bennett's burst on top of everything. Still broke. Well, we survived thanks to Bennett's healing, but we wouldn't have survived without it. Yeah, no, this is just... There's no shield that can survive this attack. I was hoping that maybe Lan Yan with C2, but there's just no way. So let's actually go back to this boss again to see the actual effects of Lan Yan's C2. And I've also removed Arlecchino from the team so that we don't have Pyro Resonance anymore, so that just the C2 influences it compared to before when we fought this boss, and nothing else. Okay, got the shield. 2 hits, yeah, it survived 2 hits. Before, remember, it didn't... Oh my god, it survived 3 hits, yeah, okay. It's just almost unbreakable. Remember, before, when we fought this boss and didn't infuse the shield with Electro, it couldn't survive 2 hits. We took a little bit of damage on the second hit, but now it survives 3 hits just because it was normal attacking with Barbara. Barbara, who, again, has less defense than my Layla, who we used in the previous test. So the shield went from not being able to take 2 hits to easily tanking 3 hits and probably any other hit if it had attacked more until the shield duration is over. So as long as we're not standing in an insane super big laser that does 70k damage, Lan Yan's shield basically tanks everything at C2. And now one more thing back here with Masanori, because I didn't just wanna ignore the C1 just because of the insane C2. Let's just attack and see. Wait a minute, how does the C1 work again? Oh, we have to trigger the elemental absorption, okay, and then we get more hits on the skill. I see, I did it wrong. Okay, so we have to apply an element first, like Pyro for example. And then we do, well, it's then on cooldown, this. Yeah, now we got more hits. Oh, that was a bunch of hits. Smaller hits, but a bunch of small hits can equal one big hit. Let's do it one more time. Yeah, so several 6k hits there. So all of them together definitely make for like over 20k damage per skill use. Which again, not that much, but for a shielder, actually decent. Yeah, the shield just tanks all his hits. Yeah, Lan Yan just doesn't care. He can do what he wants. The active character is not dying with C2 Lan Yan. So, overall, I think it's fair to say that Lan Yan is actually an incredible character. She can shred resistances with the Iridescent Venera, has one of the strongest shields in the game, and can actually do some decent damage for a shielder. And, to top it all off, she's cute. Actually a great character, and I'd say even one of the best 4-stars in the game probably. I'm definitely gonna use her a lot, like I said, mainly with Arlecchino, but even some of my other characters. You can basically use her in pretty much any team that needs a shielder, or a swirler, or both. Especially if the main DPS of the team is a normal attacker and you have Lan Yan C2. Because then it's just almost infinite shield, even if you build her for damage. But yeah, that concludes my Lan Yan showcase. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Genshin Impact and other gacha content. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, have a nice day.